I recently made a video talking about the Hollywood blacklist, and while making that video, I realized that there was something called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which is largely an alliance between Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. And this was quite interesting because you couldn't be farther apart on the political spectrum than Nazi Germany and Soviet Union, but even they had a temporary non-aggression pact. So let's talk about the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact in this video, and I hope you will like it. So the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was named after the two foreign ministers, Molotov from Soviet Union and Ribbentrop from Nazi Germany. This was also known as the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, and it was signed on 23rd August 1939. It was a pact between Germany and Soviet Union that was concluded only a few days before the beginning of the Second World War, and which divided Eastern Europe into German and Soviet spheres of influence. The Soviet Union had been unable to reach a collective security agreement with Britain and France against Nazi Germany, most notably at the time of the Munich Conference in September 1938. By early 1939, the Soviets faced the prospect of resisting German military expansion in Eastern Europe virtually alone, and so they began searching about for a change of policy. On 3rd May 1939, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin fired Foreign Minister Maxim Litvinov, who was Jewish and an advocate of collective security, and replaced him with Vyacheslav Molotov, who soon began negotiations with the Nazi Foreign Minister Joachim von Ribbentrop. Interesting point, Vyacheslav Molotov is the person after whom Molotov cocktails are named, and if you want to know about Molotov cocktails, let me know in the comment section. The Soviets also kept negotiating with Britain and France, but in the end, Stalin chose to reach an agreement with Germany. By doing so, he hoped to keep the Soviet Union at peace with Germany and to gain time to build up the Soviet military establishment, which had been badly weakened by the purge of the Red Army Officer Corps in 1937. The Western democracies' hesitance in opposing Adolf Hitler, along with Stalin's own inexplicable personal preference for the Nazis, also played a part in Stalin's final choice. For his part, Hitler wanted a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union so that his armies could invade Poland virtually unopposed by a major power, after which Germany could deal with the forces of France and Britain in the West without having to simultaneously fight the Soviet Union on a second front in the East. The end result of the German-Soviet negotiations was the Non-Aggression Pact, which was dated August 23rd and was signed by Ribbentrop and Molotov in the presence of Stalin in Moscow. The terms of the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact were briefly as follows. The two countries agreed not to attack each other, either independently or in conjunction with other powers, not to support any third power that might attack the other party to the pact, to remain in consultation with each other upon questions touching their common interests, not to join any group of powers directly or indirectly threatening one of the two parties, to solve all differences between the two by negotiation or arbitration. The pact was to last for 10 years, with automatic extension for another 5 years unless either party gave notice to terminate it 1 year before its expiration. To this public pact of non-aggression was appended a secret protocol, also reached on August 23, 1939, which divided the whole of Eastern Europe into German and Soviet spheres of influence. Poland, east of the line formed by the Narew, Vistula, and San rivers, would fall under the Soviet sphere of influence. The protocol also assigned Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Finland to the Soviet sphere of influence and further broached the subject of the separation of Bessarabia from Romania. A secret supplementary protocol signed September 28, 1939, clarified the Lithuanian borders. The Polish-German border was also determined, and Bessarabia was assigned to the Soviet sphere of influence. In a third secret protocol, signed 10th January 1941 by Count Friedrich Werner von Schulenburg and Molotov, Germany renounced its claims to portions of Lithuania in return for Soviet payment of a sum agreed upon by the two countries. The public German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact caused consternation in the capitals of Britain and France. After Germany invaded Poland from the west on 1st September 1939, Soviet troops invaded Poland from the east on 17 September, meeting the advancing Germans near Brest-Litovsk 2 days later. The partition of Poland was effected on 29 September, at which time the dividing line between German and Soviet territory was changed in Germany's favor, being moved eastward to the Bug River. The Soviets soon afterwards sought to consolidate their sphere of influence as a defensive barrier to renewed German aggression in the east. Accordingly, the Soviet Union attacked Finland on 30th November and forced it in March 1940 to yield the Isthmus of Karelia and make other concessions. The Baltic republics of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia were annexed by the Soviet Union and were organized as Soviet republics in August 1940. The Non-Aggression Pact became a dead letter on June 22, 1941, when Nazi Germany, after having invaded much of Western and Central Europe, attacked the Soviet Union without warning in Operation Barbarossa. The Soviet Union's borders with Poland and Romania that were established after the Second World War roughly follow those established by the Non-Aggression Pact in 1939-41. Until 1989, the Soviet Union denied the existence of the secret protocols because they were considered evidence of its involuntary annexation of the Baltic states. Soviet leaders were initially unwilling to restore pre-war boundaries, but the transformations occurring within the Soviet Union in the early 1990s made it virtually impossible for Soviet leaders to combat declarations of independence from the Baltic states in 1991. I hope you liked listening to this history lesson, and if you want more lessons like this, let me know in the comment section.